everyone. Now we are going to talk about the treatment of ADHD. Is ADHD treatable? And the answer is yes. The two proven treatments for ADHD are meds and parent training behavioral management. And honestly, I get very excited about the parent training behavioral management because I find it helpful not only for ADHD, but for parenting in general. Let's agree that any parent who's confronted with a child's behavior, they have three actions. Either praise it, or deliberately ignore it, or punishment. And together, we are gonna learn which one to choose. There are three basic rules that every parent should know. If you like a behavior and you want it to continue, then praise it. If you don't like a behavior and you think that this behavior is dangerous or intolerable, then punish it. If you don't like a behavior but you don't consider it dangerous or intolerable, then just ignore it. And now we're gonna talk about praising. Praising is very effective. Actually, I want you as a parent to catch your child doing something good and praise your child for it. And sometimes a smile or a hug or arms around your child can be more effective than words. For praising to be effective, it has what I call the 3 S's. It has to be simple, specific, and straightforward. So for example, I would say, "Oh, I really like the way you put your clothes away within 5 minutes of me asking you." And the praising is most effective when you do it immediately for enhancing the behavior, the positive behavior. Immediate positive reinforcement is much more effective than promising long-term rewards like a video gaming system. Be very cautious not to spoil your praising by negative referencing. What I mean by this, that some parents would say, "Oh, you did a great job, but why don't you do this all the time?" This is called praise spoiling. Sometimes, in addition to the praise, you want to do a reward system. The first one we have is the famous reward chart. Reward chart is a daily calendar schedule where you list 4 to 5 of achievable goals, behavior, or chores. The goals have to be very clear. For example, brushing your teeth within 5 minutes of being told. For every goal your child achieves, he or she receives a sticker or a star. I said the goals or the chores or the behaviors are achievable because if most of the behaviors do not end in stickers or chart, your child will be so frustrated and will be negative about participating. Reward chart and token economy are most effective when they are immediate after the desired behavior. Just don't delay it. Don't promise long-term reward system like a video game system. Just do it immediately. They are very effective when your child participates with you in the list of goals or behaviors and also the list of rewards after satisfactory compliance. I want to caution you about a couple of things. Don't expect too much too soon. A lot of parents come and tell me it's not working. Well, a lot of kids warm up to the token economy after they experience 1 or 2 large rewards. So just make sure to continue it for 1 or 2 months before stopping it and deciding that it's not useful for your child. When we consider the child's behavior as dangerous or intolerable, then that's when we implement punishment. Before you implement the punishment, always give a warning signal because this will give the chance to your child to exert self-control and avoid punishment. Punishment is most effective when it's implemented immediately. So if your kid does something, just punish them immediately. Do not wait till you go back home. Just do it immediately. What I'm gonna say now is really important. The severity of the punishment doesn't have to be harsh to be effective. Most studies have shown that spanking is actually less effective than a loss of privilege or timeout. Not only that, but with spanking, you are modeling the aggressive behavior as a solution to the conflict. We are going to talk about timeout. Timeout is sending your child to an area where you're not there because you want to ignore the negative behavior. One thing you want to do before implementing timeout is just discuss your intentions, tell them that the negative behavior will have consequences. Now, when your child is not hungry or upset, you can sit with your child and explain what timeout is. Once they understand how timeout is, like how timeout works, starts implementing them. First of all, you want to speak firmly with a calm voice. Use as few words as possible. Tell them how long they're going to be in timeout. Brief timeout for 2 minutes is sufficient and effective, but never more than 5 minutes. Set the timer, leave the room. Now, once the timeout period is over, focus on the future. Do not start lecturing them. Just let the punishment speak for itself. And here is a warning. Be prepared for a great deal of resistance the first few times you are trying to implement timeout. But soon enough, your child will learn that arguing, resisting, throwing tantrums no longer works. Now, after we have talked about timeout, we're going to talk about loss of privileges. So loss of privileges usually works better for children that are older or for teenagers. And it just means removing a certain privilege for a certain period of time, depending on what your kid did. Try to connect the loss of privileges to the negative behavior as soon as possible. For example, if your teenager came after the curfew time, then they lose car privilege for this weekend. Active ignoring by the body movement or by language is very effective, but it's the most difficult to implement. What you're doing simply is avoiding the reinforcement of a negative behavior by not paying attention to it. I'll give you a very common example. You're speaking on the phone and your daughter calls your time 100 times. So what most of us will do is, hey, Sarah, I am on the phone, wait till I get off. What you think you're doing is giving a command. But what actually you're doing is just giving her the attention she wants from the first place. What you should do is just completely ignore, finish your conversation, and then talk to your daughter. And here is something else I want to caution you about. The behavior you're trying to ignore initially will get worse before it gets better. Her attempts to get your attention by the negative behavior will increase initially, where she's trying harder to get your attention. But then eventually, she or he will learn that their needs can be met by other ways other than this negative behavior. Now, how can I manage my child's behavior in public? All of that I can do at home, but what happens if I'm in public? Follow the next video for more.